Welcome to Reverse Sweep, presented by USAA Insurance. So, guys, I know we were kind of talking before we hit record about like a fun little segment we wanted to do and what we wanted to do for that. And everyone on YouTube, y'all have really been enjoying them. And something we came up with this time, worst roster changes, roster decisions that have happened in the history of COD, and who you think should go down as the honorable mention for just a terrible decision. So Enable, Pacman, I'll let you guys duke it out on who goes first, but whether it was a team as a whole or an individual change, what do you think is COD's historically worst roster decisions?
Don't worry, John. You know, I'll take the L. I'll go first for you. For me, Katie, I think it has to be clear-cut. Hastro and Envy at the end of Ghosts. He had the opportunity to bring on Crim and Karma, the team with Formal on Envy. I believe the fourth would have been Merc. And he didn't pull the trigger. He kept Nameless and Cap. At the time, it was, you know, the TL was popping. It was wild because Envy had some success at the end of Ghost with that team. But since Hastro didn't pull the trigger, he allowed the OpTic Dynasty to form. Formal end up going over to OpTic with Crim, where it was Crim, Scump, Formal, and Nadeshot. And then when Nadeshot retired, Karma ended up joining. But you got to think, if he would have pulled the trigger and got Crim and Karma at that time, what could have been for Envy? It would have changed the future in COD in multiple ways. And it's just something that you think, like, what if? You know, what if? I'm sure he probably still thinks about it from time to time because he loves winning his chips. And if he had that core group of guys on his team, it might have been Envy that we said was the greatest team of all time. They might have been playing under the Envy banner. So for me, it has to be that move.
That's a good one, I guess. The
best one. That's the best one. It's the only one.
Kept making mistakes that year because then what? They ended up actually dropping Clay and Cap for not.
We just double dipping on Stro and Envy.
Double on the diabolical duo, and then Clay and Cap went on and won champ. So like, even if they kept some of that part of the roster, they could have still done it, and they made another mistake. Tough, but I think I'm gonna go with OpTic in World War II. They had what goes down as just maybe the worst individual. Like, how do you go from the OpTic Dynasty roster and then pick up Octane and Zenny? You just pick up just complete boxes on your team to go with slugs. To go with Crim and Scump. Seth did not play well with that roster, and honestly, it's probably a really tough role for him. He went from a team of people around him who's a lot quicker. Damon going out there and doing a lot of dirty work, to where now he has to be that guy. Crim has to switch off a role that he was doing well in the AR role, go to a sub. It was just a lot going on, and to finish it all off, not only did they lose to Aches at Champs again, all they had to do was win one map. All they had to do was win one map to continue in the tournament, and they got 3-0'd. They got 3-0'd by EG, and then EG goes on to win champs. OpTic gets last place. That's just right there in itself.
That's
just
tough.
Embarrassing. That's just the worst move. That's the worst move I can think of all time.
It's
right
okay.
there.
That's okay.
They got last.
That's
Envy at least
okay.
went on and Envy got like 12th or something. I don't know.
Made it respectable. Katie, I'm sure yours has got to be better than John. So it's not gonna be better than mine. It won't. You know, mine's
Of course.
the OpTic Dynasty
They could never. Heaven forbid someone have a better take than Enable.
It's not possible. But good luck, Katie. I wish you the best on whatever your answer is.
Thank you. You're very kind for that.
Is Arklov Peak involved at any point?
No, unfortunately. I still love that map. I always love that map. But no, actually, it'll be from the title just prior to that. And mine's more of a what could have been. So at the very beginning of Black Ops 4, you had the Midnight roster, Midnight Esports, and it consisted of Envoy, a name we're all very familiar with, but also Llama God, Parzelian, Brack, and Jet Li. And they went a flawless 6-0 in the Pro League qualifiers. They beat everyone. They beat 100 Thieves, Pittsburgh Knights, a bunch of teams. They looked so good. Going into Vegas, they looked like everything about Midnight Esports looked excellent. And then management just implodes everything from orbit, and the entire team changes going forward to Fort Worth and onward. You bring in folks like Parasite, Blast, others, and the team just kind of crumbles. And for me, it was such a disappointing storyline because that team, no one expected them to be as good as they were. They were flawless to start things off. And it was just such a bummer to me to kind of see management and see a team throw away something that didn't need to be thrown away. And it'll always be a question mark for me in BO4. Maybe they plateau anyway and they suck. I don't know. But to see a team start out that strong and then just not even be given an opportunity to continue was tough to watch.
It's unfortunate for the rest of the guys. So Envoy, obviously, it worked out for him. He went to Gen G.
Boy said deuces.
Well. Yeah,
Deuces.
Brad got into LG, had a little bit of time. Yeah. But the rest of them, Alamagod, Parzilian, Jet Li, they got banished into they're banished into oblivion, and they never really got a chance.
On that point, Pacman,
That's
it's like what could have been, right? So if Midnight Esports continues to play well, what could have been for their careers? Envoy was turned out all right. Obviously, you're on OpTic, but Brack, he was a sub for Toronto and didn't really get to do much with them. And it's kind of a bummer, what could have been. But yeah, for me, a little more recent.
They did. I will say this. They did have Infinite Warfare United vibe. A team that kind of came out of nowhere and that was just, having a lot of success early on in the season. For some of those guys, besides Envoy, really, even if they just had, say they got a top 4, having some sort of success on that stage, even if it crumbled after that, it's like, that's a memory, that's a feel good memory, and not even having the opportunity to see, what could have been rough. But shit, I'm glad they got this bandit because those fools bodied me in the PLQ. I was getting smoked by Jet Li. I was like,
you're like, what is going on?
JR Smith meme. I was like, who the Jet Li, Bruce Lee, who is that? I'll put that in there.
The whole PLQ was a blessing for you because somehow some way FaZe didn't get through.
It was all a part of the plan. It was all a part of the plan.
And it worked out by the skin of your teeth. 100T did manage to get through, but who knows what could have been with Midnight, some other questionable roster changes. But that's actually what we'd love to hear from you in the comments, whether it was a roster creation, a roster change. Historically, what stood out to you as a horrendous decision in COD history? We'd love to know, and let us know. YouTube comments, leave your thoughts there. And in the meantime, enable Pacman and we will see you next week for some more reverse sweep.
Peace.